Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Mid-South Wrestling Review for the 10th of September, 1983. This is a time of change in the Mid-South area for a number of reasons. New talents coming in, old talents leaving, talents that would have historic impact on the wrestling industry for years to come, debuting here, and some feuds beginning. King Kong Bundy and the Junkyard Dog, we mentioned that in the last episode, and it becomes more of a thing here. Bundy and the Dog finally, I don't know that this is their first match televised. I think it might be, though. But it is here, and Bundy uses power moves early. Obviously, this is the Dog, the first one to really give Bundy a run for his money in the area. Dog with something as simple as a punch under the chin of Bundy, and it doesn't go well for him. Dog tries to slam Bundy early, and that doesn't go well for him either. But Dog does have enough cachet in the area that we kind of see him or Bundy feeling the need to wear him down. We see Bundy with a lot of different things, including but not limited to a hammerlock and other offensive maneuvers that you normally wouldn't see from Bundy because normally he's outpowered the guy. They work the hammerlock and the go behind wrist lock for quite a while. Snapmare takeover, first time I've ever seen Bundy on reserve of that. Dog, which usually never misses a headbutt, actually does miss the diving headbutt on Bundy here. And then we see the reversal on the hammerlock used earlier. Really basic story, good storytelling. And again, we kind of see that going in a positive direction. We see the takedown by the Dog. Dog gets Bundy caught in the ropes. Referee brings everybody back to a vertical base, and the Dog is, I wouldn't say forced, but certainly, does get Bundy back down on the mat. A little bit surprising to people who haven't seen Bundy be challenged. I think the fans in the Louisiana and surrounding states that covered Mid-South, had to have been surprised to see Bundy taking a beating from the Dog at the Dog's hands a little bit. Bundy, though, does manage to shift things going back his way on the basis of a shoulder tackle. Bundy with the cover, 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And as Bundy had been doing the 5 count, Dog kicks out at about 4.5. Bundy's in shock. Bundy lands on the referee, squashing the referee. Probably one of the better big man matches I think I've seen in this era is this. Big clothesline by the Dog. Another referee comes in. 1, 2, and an interference from Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer. Sawyer, I don't know that he's necessarily aligning with Bundy, but he's more trying to get rid of the Dog. Bundy and Sawyer working together a bit here. You have to wonder if Akbar or Gary Hart or somebody else is behind that. The match kind of continues, and we see the big thump slam. Referee does not make a count as the match is already ended, but then you see the missing link with a second rope or top rope headbutt. Hard to see from the vantage point on the Dog, and there's kind of a 3-on-1 on the Dog here. It's interesting because the Dog waits a couple of minutes to get some friends. Friends in this case include Jim Duggan, who comes out and tries to bring things under some level of control. Then we move to the Road Warriors. Rick Rude and Art Cruz provide their opposition. Road Warriors, again, very young. Also, Jim Ross is a ring announcer. If you've never seen that before, this is kind of a fun foray into that world. Rick Rude, obviously a big name. Road Warriors rush in right away, and this is a match for them to gobble people up. Not necessarily sure why you'd give them something competitive the previous week, bringing them in. Maybe to test if they're willing to do business, who really knows, but it does happen. Hawk goes nuts in the early stages. Rude bouncing all over the place, although it does manage to move out of the way and kind of put an arm bar on Road Warrior Hawk, which is just bizarre if you think about it. Of all the things you can do to Hawk, is an armbar really the way? But wrestling was different back in 1983 for sure. Certainly some would say better. Can't even think that that's 37, something like that years ago. Anyway, Heck, I'll be 40 next year, and 32 of those years as a wrestling fan. But anyhow, um, Art Cruz comes in after Rude and tries to do his bit. Meanwhile, the nature of the Road Warriors being slowed down a little bit. Actually, did not know, and learning here that they were being forced to wrestle a non aggressive, knock everybody over in 2 minutes style, which is interesting to me. I did not realize that took place. Hawk, though, does manage to get a knee lift under the chin of Rick Rude, and and then Art Cruz actually manages to get beat up pretty good here too, including but not limited to a double clothesline on Cruz. Rude comes in, tries to kind of tackle things off. Rude in 1983 certainly a little small to be handling the Road Warriors, who are much, much larger. I can see where, to people that have seen the Road Warriors movie and they're kind of just getting intrigued, they're interested in this team. Big tag by Hawk after a lariat style clothesline to Animal. Animal hits a power slam. Power slam's very popular in the area. DiBiase does one, Mad Dog Bud Sawyer does one, and now Road Warrior Animal doing one. But anyway, that continues there. Missing Link against Rip Rogers is your next matchup. Jim Ross once again doing the ring announcing for that, doing the ring announcing for most of the program, and some of the commentary upon occasion as well. Missing Link, obviously a guy who has been around since the late 60s, does kind of reinvent himself in this era. Big power slam from him, so power slam seems to be a thing. 1, 2, and Link actually pulls Rogers up, which is kind of interesting. Not exactly the smartest of things to do, but gets the job done. Short knee by the Link, and he manages to keep things going his way. Rogers tries to fight back. You need to be unorthodox to handle Link. Link manages to get a vertical suplex, the referee around, and again the Link pulls him up. Link is known most for that diving headbutt, which he kind of does pull the back of his head and hit pretty well. Link going for the headbutt, but manages to turn it into a splash instead, and the Link goes, drops some knees there, and then goes into almost like a camel clutch-like maneuver, gets a submission victory there. Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer up next against Tim Horner. Interesting that you kind of throw Horner, not away, but throw Horner at the Mad Dog here, as Mad Dog needs to be on top of game. Again, running in over the last little while against a guy like the Junkyard Dog. You got to keep him strong. So anyway, Horner, though, has been around and been successful. Takes Buzz Sawyer to the mat, and they wrestle over a headlock and jockeying for position for a couple of minutes. Sawyer manages to be pretty okay once he has a vertical base, and again, Horner goes back to the side headlock. Horner remains a pretty influential babyface, 82-83 era, and influential just that he looks credible with everyone he's in there with. He has a beautiful drop kick too, by the way. He hits a couple of those and gets things going his way. Kind of a side headlock. Sawyer cuts off and goes after his adversary pretty assertively, aggressively there. Sawyer choking the man out, and manages to use a chin lock that he turns into a chokehold upon occasion. Drives the man into the mat pretty aggressively, assertively there, and Sawyer spends the next several minutes trying to wear the man down. Eventually does kind of come back to the sense of Sawyer having both the experience and power advantage, but Horner not looking like a slouch, does manage to leap off the second rope into a power slam. Well-timed finish, and if you're looking for a finish, that might be one to borrow in the future. We move to the promised match that was talked about in the previous episode of Duggan and DiBiase. DiBiase tries to cut Duggan off even as he's getting into the ring, and the feud between the two of them kind of stretches over the next, well, I don't know, maybe another year. I'm not through 84 yet. I haven't even begun the year, but I can imagine that they go for a while. DiBiase does have the black glove on, I believe, and also manages to does have the black glove on one hand, but manages to cut Duggan off, hits some back elbows, tries to cheat wherever he can, comes off the second rope with an elbow to the top of the head of Duggan, his former Rat Pack mate, and DiBiase pretty well manages to keep control of the majority of the match. Duggan takes a good bit of punishment, and DiBiase hits a slam out of the corner. DiBiase then goes to the second rope and does one of the moves that I really like that he does as a heel, which is the diving back elbow, which he manages to miss. He misses that from the second rope. Duggan finally gets a bit of a comeback here. And there's a difference between selling and registering. Duggan finally gets back to his feet, and when it turns into a brawl, it is not fun to be Ted DiBiase. DiBiase takes many shots under the chin, and Duggan manages to get things going his way relatively assertively here. DiBiase bails to the outside, doesn't seem to want to continue the match very much longer, and Duggan finally gets him back in. Big clothesline by Duggan, and he's kind of doing the stomping thing in the corner. You can easily see that Duggan has the crowd behind him. Finally, DiBiase begging off, but that doesn't affect Duggan. The crowd is behind Duggan for a good bit. DiBiase will use cheating tactics wherever he can, including in this match or any other that he feels he needs them in. Irish whip by DiBiase, and Duggan around with a back body drop for his trouble. DiBiase again bails to the outside. Duggan gives chase this time. Duggan continues to be in control until DiBiase's back in the ring, and DiBiase uses choking and other illegal tactics, using some tape and choking against the rope and biting and just about any tactic you can. This is a good match just to show that you don't need to do crazy high spots to keep a crowd, and also that the building of a feud matters more than the moves you do in the matches themselves. Duggan manages to miss a knee in the corner, and DiBiase takes advantage of that with the figure four. If you've been following and watching our Mid-South review for a while, DiBiase used the figure four quite a bit before. Duggan manages to turn the figure four over, and DiBiase doesn't want to quit. Oddly enough, we see the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal, run in, help DiBiase, and lay Duggan out. That's because Duggan has interfered in their issues before. Several minutes where the Road Warriors are, in fact, brawling with Duggan and laying out just about everybody and anybody. I don't know if they're hired hands or what that is. The 2x4 is attempted to be used on JYD. Duggan gets back up and comes back. JYD comes out to help Duggan. Duggan grabs the 2x4 and takes out the heels, including the Road Warriors and others, with the 2x4. Duggan looks like $1,000,000 as he hits every heel in the ring, including DiBiase and the Road Warriors with the 2x4. They continue the issues between JYD, DiBiase, DiBiase. Duggan hits several shots on DiBiase across the back. Referee makes the cover because I guess there's no DQs. Duggan beats DiBiase in the middle, which is a really bizarre thing to see when you consider how protected DiBiase was for a long time. We move to the, I guess you'd say, semi-main event spot anyway. Not sure that I'd call this match a semi-main event, as Crusher Darso and Johnny Rich does not scream semi-main event, but with 10 minutes left in the program, more screams a standby match or whatever the case may be. Darso manages to get some kicks off and goes for an elbow drop, doesn't get all he wants on that. Instead, Darso gets tied up in the ropes, and Rich manages to kind of defend himself to the best of his ability. Hard shots in the midsection by Darso with knees, among other things. Darso comes out with a shoulder tackle as only the Minnesota-style guys can. We then see Darso with a big back elbow and keeping the match going in his general direction. Herks the man up with the double choke. However, Rich manages to come back a couple of times. We see the running almost Oklahoma Stampede, referee telling Darso to put him down, and he obliges with that with a toss in the general direction of the middle of the ring, including a power slam, and then Darso gets him up across the shoulders for the submission victory with the backbreaker. Zukov and Vines versus Weingroff and TA. Again, not quite sure why we've dropped that down a little bit. I understand the Zukov and TA alignment with the or match, just in the sense of foreign heel against USA star. Vines and Weingroff kind of seem to be filling out the card there. I'm sure you could use that as a singles. Vines and Weingroff do a basic wrestling match, majority of which is back and forth. TA comes in, the crowd's very happy with that assessment. TA uses body slams and other power moves, launching Vines and Volkov across the ring. Majority body slams there. TA comes back around with a hip toss. Volkov doesn't get all he wants on the hip toss. Tag off again to TA. TA comes back in using his prowess, and they cut the ring off, do the baby faces for a while. Finally, Weingroff gets in the wrong corner, and he gets beat on for a few minutes. Running out of time in the program, as there's only about 3 or 4 minutes left. Vines manages to body slam Weingroff in the middle. Obviously, the hot tag to be set up in the direction of Magnum TA. Weingroff ducks a clothesline but gets hit with a back elbow. TA nervous on the outside. Remember, Magnum TA is a former tag team champion in the area, so he knows what it takes to win tag team matches, in story theory anyway. Magnum TA does come in, hits the double backdrop with his partner on Volkov. Big drop kick. Volkov goes to the outside. TA squares off with his adversary. Big double body slam, which is a move you don't normally see, although it's seen here. And the baby faces again double backdrop, this time on Vines. Meanwhile, Volkov trying to come back into the ring as Vines gets hit with the belly-to-belly suplex from TA, and a victory. Magnum TA and George Weingroff are victorious here. We will be back with more action right after this, and continuation of our Mid-South series.